They came with rosaries and with quiet tears. The Holy Family Basilica in Nairobi, transformed into a river of mourning, a sanctuary of remembrance for a Pope who touched hearts across the globe. Local Catholics joined the world in mourning Pope Francis, a spiritual leader remembered for his simplicity, compassion, and unwavering voice for the marginalized.
Even though he was sick and even though he was dragging himself along, people didn't know, people didn't see. They saw the smiling Pope, the kind Pope, the attentive Pope, the merciful Pope.
Leading the Mass was the Archdiocese of Nairobi, joined by the Apostolic Nunciature and bishops from across the country. From the young to the old, the grieving to the grateful, every eye turned toward the altar, every prayer a tribute to a man many called the people's Pope.
His enduring legacy is a clarion call for each one of us to uphold the values of mercy, justice, and peace in our daily lives.
If we truly want to follow in his footsteps, then we should become his voice. As he had been the voice of others, now it's our turn to be his voice.
Among those in attendance was former President Uhuru Kenyatta, joining dignitaries, clergy, and ordinary citizens in a moment that transcended politics and title. Today, the city paused not for anything but for a prayer.
I had the pleasure and honor to meet him twice, and the memories of those meetings remain very dear and close to me. And I can stand as somebody who can testify to his level of humility and concern.
The Mass echoed with sacred liturgy and deep emotion. Hymns became farewells, prayers turned into whispers of thanks. In life and death, Pope Francis brought people together.
He was able to extend beyond his religion. He was able to see us all as humanity. He didn't pick and choose. And even the most vulnerable and the most outcast, he was able to ensure that they were given solace and comfort.
We can ask ourselves whether we are sowing sins of love or we are sowing sins of disunity, whether we are sowing sins of peace or sins of violence, whether we are sowing sins of unity or sins of disunity.
When Pope Francis visited Kenya in 2015, his call for justice, environmental stewardship, and inclusion resonated deeply. That message, attendees said, now feels even more urgent.
I think our leaders need to learn from the Pope and be humble. They need to be servants of the people. They need to stop to be very truthful, because truthfulness is a virtue in Christianity. They also need to stop corruption and greed, because that is destroying our country. And all in all, they need to remember that in this life, you will go as you. You are not going to carry anything.
I remember him mostly because of his humility, his powerful speeches, and sometimes even in his speeches, while they were powerful, but sometimes he would throw in a joke here and there, to pass his message. So I remember him particularly for that.
The requiem was more than a goodbye. It was a vow to carry forward his mission in acts of mercy, words of peace, and love that reaches the forgotten.
In a world often divided by politics, race, and greed, today's Mass was a reminder that faith can still unite, that humility still matters, that a man who sat at the highest office of the Catholic Church as the Pope chose to be known simply as Francis. Ben Chumba, Easy Friday.